In one corner of Europe, there's a country where over 50% of the world's cork supply originates harvested not from factories, but directly from trees whose bark is carefully stripped by hand every 9 years. This ancient practice not only supports local biodiversity, but also reflects a centuries-old harmony between people and landscape. It's a place where tradition breathes through the land itself. Welcome to Portugal, a land where nature, culture, and craftsmanship are deeply intertwined. Let's see why travelers love this spot. From the misty peaks of Peneda-Gerês to the sun-soaked cliffs of the Algarve, Portugal's geography is as varied as its cultural heritage. You'll soon discover wind-beaten headlands like Cabo da Roca, medieval stone villages nestled in the highlands, and island landscapes shaped by ancient volcanoes. Along the way, there are Gothic monasteries, Baroque sanctuaries, and seaside towns where tradition still guides daily life. Whether wandering through Alfama's narrow lanes or gazing across the terraced Douro Valley, every corner reveals a different face of Portugal's timeless charm. Before continuing the video, we have a quiz for you. Arrange the following letters to name Portugal's hilly capital city. We have a hint. This city is famously built on 7 hills overlooking the Atlantic. Please comment your answer below this video. Now the real journey begins. Madeira quietly emerges on the horizon as a jewel of the Atlantic, inviting travelers with its lush green landscapes, temperate climate, and subtle marriage of natural and cultural treasures. It spreads across approximately 741 square kilometers, a volcanic island marked by soaring peaks and deep valleys. At its center rise the rugged peaks of Pico Ruivo, Portugal's highest point, at about 1,861 meters, accessible through dramatic trails traversing volcanic ridges above the clouds. These trails offer sweeping panoramas over green ridgelines and distant islands. The island's climate further exemplifies its charm. Averaging from 15 degrees Celsius in winter to 25 degrees Celsius in summer, Madeira is often called the Island of Eternal Spring. Although often celebrated for its natural beauty, Madeira's cultural depth runs just as deep. Officially discovered by Portuguese navigators in 1419, the island played a pivotal role in the age of exploration as a supply station for Atlantic voyages. Its early settlers introduced terraced agriculture and viticulture, laying the foundation for Madeira's internationally renowned wine industry. This fortified wine, praised by figures like Shakespeare and served at the signing of the U.S. Declaration of Independence, remains one of the island's most iconic exports. Madeira is also associated with one of Portugal's most famous modern figures, footballer Cristiano Ronaldo, who was born and raised in the capital city. A museum and statue commemorate his connection to the island, drawing fans from around the globe. Framed by the wooded hills of northern Portugal and defined by centuries of religious tradition, Braga quietly asserts its place as one of the country's most historically layered and spiritually significant cities. Though often overshadowed by Lisbon or Porto in terms of global recognition, the region holds a reputation as the Portuguese Rome. This title was earned through its dense concentration of churches, long-standing liturgical customs, and a continuous history that stretches back over 2 millennia. Braga was originally established as Bracara Augusta in the 1st century BCE under the Roman Emperor Augustus. It became a prominent administrative center for the province of Galicia, strategically located at the convergence of Roman roads. Archaeological remnants, including baths, roads, and a theater, remain embedded beneath the modern city, reminding visitors of its classical past. Over time, Braga evolved into a major ecclesiastical seat, particularly during the Middle Ages, when it served as the religious capital of the Iberian Peninsula. The city is renowned for its Holy Week celebrations, which are among the most elaborate in Portugal. These processions, characterized by hooded penitents, candlelit parades, and dramatic reenactments of biblical scenes, attract thousands of pilgrims and tourists each spring. In addition to Easter observances, Braga's ecclesiastical calendar includes numerous feast days and local devotions, many tied to its Baroque and neoclassical sanctuaries that dominate the skyline. Rising from the mid-Atlantic like fragments of a lost continent, the Azores are often seen as a remote frontier where volcanic origin meets marine vastness. This autonomous region of Portugal, situated roughly 1,500 kilometers west of Lisbon, consists of 9 volcanic islands scattered across 3 main groups. Despite their distance from the mainland, the Azores have long maintained cultural, economic, and historical ties to Portugal, while preserving a distinct identity shaped by isolation, nature, and resilience. The islands are geologically young, born from tectonic activity at the junction of the Eurasian, North American, and African plates. Volcanic forces continue to shape their landscapes. Calderas, crater lakes, fumaroles, lava fields, and thermal springs are common throughout the archipelago. Climatically, the Azores experience mild temperatures year-round, moderated by the Gulf Stream and oceanic winds. This temperate climate supports lush vegetation and endemic species, many of which are protected within nature parks and biosphere reserves. Whale watching, diving, hiking, and geothermal bathing draw nature enthusiasts from around the world, while sustainable tourism efforts aim to preserve the fragile ecosystems of the islands. Historically, the Azores were uninhabited until their discovery by Portuguese navigators in the early 15th century, likely around 1431. The islands served as important maritime waypoints during the Age of Discovery, offering safe harbor for fleets bound for the Americas, Africa, and Asia. Settlers from mainland Portugal brought agricultural practices, religious traditions. Perched atop the hills of Sintra and visible from miles away on clear days, the National Palace of Penha stands as one of the most iconic landmarks in Portugal. With its vivid hues of red, yellow, and purple, this 19th century palace is a striking example of Romanticist architecture, blending medieval, Gothic, Moorish, and Manueline styles into a whimsical, fairy tale-like structure. It is not only a visual marvel, but also a symbol of a cultural and artistic movement that swept across Europe during the Romantic era. The origins of the site date back to the early 16th century, when King Manuel I commissioned the construction of a monastery for the Order of St. Jerome. That structure remained largely intact until the 1755 Lisbon earthquake, which devastated most of it, leaving only the chapel and some structural remnants. It wasn't until the mid-1800s that King Ferdinand II, consort of Queen Maria II, acquired the ruins and surrounding lands. Inspired by the ideals of Romanticism, he enlisted German engineer Wilhelm Ludwig von Eschwege to transform the ruins into a summer palace that combined exotic and historical aesthetics. The palace itself is an eclectic fusion. Ornate towers, Islamic-style domes, medieval battlements, Renaissance cloisters, and fantastical sculptures like the famous Triton archway representing the allegory of creation reflect a mix of personal imagination and architectural references. It was declared a national monument in 1910, the year the Portuguese monarchy was abolished, and later became part of the UNESCO World Heritage-listed cultural landscape of Sintra in 1995. If you visited this place, comment number 2. If not, comment number 0. Aboard ancient trams rattling through cobbled hillsides, one catches glimpses of ornate balconies, sun-bleached walls, and panoramic views unfolding at each ascent. Here, a city breathes history not in grand monuments alone, but in the daily rhythm of its streets, steeped in stories carried by sea winds. Lisbon, Portugal's capital, stands as a city shaped as much by light and topography as by empire and reinvention. Its layered identity is rooted in centuries of trade, conquest, and cultural fusion. From Roman foundations to Moorish quarters, Lisbon has long absorbed and reinterpreted external influences, visible in its azulejo tiles, labyrinthine districts, and melancholic musical traditions. The 1755 earthquake devastated much of the old city, prompting one of the earliest examples of modern urban planning under the Marquis of Pombal, whose Enlightenment ideals translated into broad boulevards and earthquake-resistant structures. The traditional neighborhoods are not just historic, they continue to function as living quarters with local shops, family-run tascas, and residents whose lives intertwine across generations. Fado music, inscribed by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage, still drifts from these quarters, expressing longing and resilience. Meanwhile, modern creativity finds expression in Lisbon's dynamic street art, design studios, and contemporary museums, reflecting a city in constant dialogue with its past. Encircled by medieval stone walls and crowned by towers that rise above terracotta rooftops, one Portuguese town preserves the atmosphere of a bygone era with remarkable cohesion. Narrow alleys paved in cobblestone, whitewashed facades trimmed with indigo or ochre, and cascading bougainvillea all contribute to a visual identity that feels suspended in time. Óbidos, located in central Portugal, is often cited as one of the country's best preserved historic towns. Its origins stretch back to Roman occupation, but it was the Moors who fortified the settlement in the 8th century, laying the foundations for the town's iconic walls. Following the Christian reconquest in the 12th century, Óbidos entered a unique chapter in Portuguese history, becoming part of the personal estates of queens from the 13th century onward. This royal association earned it the nickname Vila das Rainhas, Town of the Queens, a status that helped preserve and embellish its infrastructure over the centuries. The town's enclosed layout reflects the medieval model of urban planning, with homes and public buildings clustered along a central spine. The lack of modern sprawl beyond the walls contributes to the enduring visual unity of the townscape. Óbidos has also become a model for heritage tourism, carefully balancing conservation with accessibility. The town hosts several cultural events throughout the year, including a renowned literary festival and a historical market that reanimates medieval traditions, both of which contribute to a broader national and international cultural profile. A quiet hum rises from cobbled streets, where storks nest atop Baroque bell towers, and orange trees cast patterned shadows along quiet plazas. Here, the rhythm of life slows, blending centuries of seafaring, religious tradition, and southern Portuguese charm into a cohesive cultural atmosphere. Faro, the administrative capital of the Algarve region, offers more than just a gateway to Portugal's southern coastline. While often bypassed in favor of nearby beach destinations, the city itself has long held regional importance, first as a Roman settlement known as Assonoba, and later as a strategic Moorish port. Its layered past becomes evident in the architecture. Islamic influences still echo in arched doorways and inner courtyards, while Renaissance and Manueline flourishes reflect Portugal's maritime expansion. The city's historical core is enclosed within well-preserved medieval walls. Inside, narrow lanes unfold past whitewashed houses, churches, and small museums that chart the city's religious and civic evolution. Traditional music styles such as corridinho still surface at local gatherings, and culinary customs remain rooted in seasonal seafood, olive oil, and citrus. Faro's coastal setting protected wetland stretches across shifting sandbars and tidal channels, forming a unique biosphere that supports migratory birds and traditional salt harvesting. For residents, the lagoon shapes both ecological awareness and leisure, offering a contrast to the more commercial stretches of Algarve coastline. Sunlight reflects off ochre cliffs and limestone stacks, but it's the rhythm of daily life anchored in sea, soil, and centuries, old custom that defines the Algarve. Here, the landscape is more than a backdrop. It is a constant participant in shaping culture, livelihood, and identity. The Algarve occupies Portugal's southernmost fringe, where the Atlantic wraps around headlands, beaches, and marshlands in complex dialogue. Beyond its image as a summer retreat, the region stands at a historical crossroads. From Phoenician traders to Roman engineers and Moorish dynasties, successive waves of settlement have layered the Algarve with architectural, linguistic, and agricultural traces. Its very name comes from Arabic, meaning the West, reflecting centuries under Islamic rule before the Christian reconquest in the 13th century. The coast divides into distinct sections. In the west, cliffs rise dramatically above wind-swept waters, sculpted over time into grottos and arches. The east, by contrast, gives way to barrier islands and tidal flats, especially within the protected Ria Formosa, a biodiverse wetland of migratory birds and traditional shellfish farming. Inland, the terrain shifts to rolling hills and aromatic scrub. Villages here retain slower rhythms, with cobbled streets, terracotta roofs, and seasonal agricultural cycles. Citrus groves, fig orchards, and cork oak plantations characterize this rural Algarve, while the Serra de Monchique range provides a cooler microclimate and long-used thermal springs. Tucked along the Douro River in northern Portugal, Porto exudes a quiet confidence built on centuries of trade, craftsmanship, and resilient identity. While it may be best known internationally for giving its name to port wine, the city's legacy stretches far beyond its vineyards and cellars. Porto is one of the oldest cities in Europe, with continuous settlement dating back to at least the Roman period, when it was called Portus Cale, the root of the name Portugal itself. Its strategic location made it a vital point in maritime commerce throughout the Middle Ages and well into the Age of Discoveries. The city's seafaring past is still visible in the historic Ribeira district, where narrow alleyways, tiled facades, and Baroque churches preserve the layered textures of time. The region is a blend of medieval grit and artistic flourish. The city's historic core is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized not only for its well-preserved urban fabric, but also for its innovative use of space on a rugged landscape. This area has long been seen as Portugal's more introspective and hard-working counterpart to the capital, Lisbon. It has produced notable literary and political figures, including writer Almeida Garrett and diplomat Aristides de Sousa Mendes, who defied orders during World War II to save thousands of refugees from the Nazis. In 2022, Porto was named Europe's leading city break destination by the World Travel Awards, a testament to its growing cultural profile and enduring charm. Have you ever walked the steep streets of Porto or tasted real port wine by the Douro? Share your experience in the comments below. Perched dramatically, where rugged cliffs meet the Atlantic, a small whitewashed village seems almost sculpted into the rock face, its compact homes cascading toward a natural tidal pool below. This is Azenas do Mar, a coastal hamlet in Portugal that blends striking geology with traditional architecture, located within the municipality of Sintra. The village derives its name from the Arabic word azenha, meaning watermill, a reference to the old grain mills once powered by nearby freshwater streams descending to the ocean. These mills were active until the early 20th century, when the village supported a modest agricultural community centered around cereal production. While the mills have since disappeared, the name remains a subtle marker of the area's rural past. Azenas do Mar today is better known for its postcard-perfect views, where rows of tiled roof cottages descend toward a carved-out seawater pool nestled into the rock shelf. Unlike more commercialized coastal resorts, the village retains a quiet atmosphere, with narrow cobbled alleys, locally owned cafes, and scenic terraces overlooking the Atlantic. Azenas do Mar also embodies a cultural continuity linked to the broader identity of the Sintra region. Traditional blue and white azulejo tiles adorn many facades, echoing the ceramic craftsmanship seen throughout Portuguese architecture. Despite its growing popularity on social media and travel blogs, Azenas do Mar remains free from large-scale development. Strict zoning and heritage protection policies ensure that its fragile cliffside structures are preserved. Shrouded in mist on many mornings and framed by a monumental zigzagging staircase, a pilgrimage site in northern Portugal has long stirred both religious devotion and architectural admiration. This is Bom Jesus do Monte, located just outside the city of Braga. It has been a major Catholic pilgrimage destination since the 14th century, although most of its current form dates to the 18th and early 19th centuries. The sanctuary is especially renowned for its sacred way, a monumental staircase with over 580 steps, built in a mix of Baroque, Rococo, and neoclassical styles. The site was officially inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2019 due to its spiritual, artistic, and cultural significance. The ascent to the sanctuary is more than a physical journey. It is designed to symbolize the spiritual path of purification. The lower stairways are lined with chapels, housing sculptural depictions of the Passion of Christ. Meanwhile, the upper segments known as the Stairway of the Five Senses and the Stairway of the Three Virtues combine ornate fountains and religious allegory to represent moral introspection and spiritual elevation. This synthesis of architecture, symbolism, and landscape reflects Enlightenment-era ideals of faith, reason, and the soul's journey. Even for non-pilgrims, Bom Jesus do Monte draws admiration for its harmonious integration into the natural environment. Surrounded by dense woodland and elevated above the surrounding landscape, the sanctuary offers sweeping views over Braga and beyond. Often veiled in drifting fog and shaped by centuries of wind, a remote woodland in the North Atlantic exudes an atmosphere more mythical than botanical. Its twisted trees, some over 500 years old, appear frozen mid-dance, cloaked in moss and silence. This is not the setting of a fairy tale illustration, though it often resembles one. Fainal Forest, located within Madeire's Loura Silva, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is one of the last surviving remnants of a type of laurel forest that once covered much of southern Europe during the Tertiary period. It stretches across misty highlands near the Pol de Serra Plateau, maintaining an otherworldly ambiance thanks to the persistent cloud cover and ancient till trees whose trunks are contorted by time and wind. With low-hanging fog filtering the sunlight and isolating every branch in silhouette, photographers and nature lovers frequently cite it as one of the most surreal environments in Europe. Located in the central highlands of the Azores' largest island, Lagoa do Fogo occupies the caldera of the Água de Pau volcano, which last erupted in 1563. Unlike more accessible volcanic lakes, this one remains largely untouched by urban development, with steep crater walls and thick endemic vegetation preserving its remoteness. The lake sits at an altitude of nearly 580 meters and stretches over 2 kilometers in length, forming one of the highest and most pristine freshwater bodies in the archipelago. Shaped by fire but defined by silence, a crater lake in the heart of São Miguel reveals how volcanic violence can yield profound serenity. Often wreathed in mist or reflecting clear Atlantic skies, its name, Lagoa do Fogo, or Lake of Fire, recalls its explosive origins rather than its tranquil present. From a geological perspective, Lagoa do Fogo exemplifies the Azores' dynamic tectonic setting, where the Eurasian, African, and North American plates converge. Its formation resulted from a series of powerful eruptions during the Holocene, followed by collapse and gradual water accumulation in the caldera. The surrounding nature reserve protects native laurel forest species and endemic birds, including the Azores bullfinch, one of the rarest passerines in Europe. Lagoa do Fogo's isolated charm is heightened by limited access. There are no roads leading directly to its shores. Instead, visitors must hike down winding paths through volcanic ridges and fragrant shrubs. Salt pans shimmer beside Art Nouveau facades, and gondola-like boats glide through canals lined with candy-colored houses. At first glance, this city might resemble a scene from Venice, but its soul lies firmly rooted in Portuguese heritage. This is Aveiro, a coastal destination often nicknamed the Venice of Portugal, though its history and culture carve a path all its own. Aveiro's origins date back to Roman times, when it served as a salt and fish trading hub. By the Middle Ages, its lagoons had become a key source of sea salt, a resource so vital it shaped both the city's economy and urban layout. The tradition still lingers in the salt flats, a complex coastal lagoon system that supports diverse bird life and ecosystems. The defining image of Aveiro today is its network of canals and the colorful moliceros, slender boats once used for harvesting seaweed. While now mostly serving tourism, these boats remain a vivid emblem of local identity, often adorned with humorous or risque hand-painted scenes. These floating works of folk art are one of the city's most photographed and storied features. Architecturally, Aveiro offers an unexpected burst of early 20th century elegance. The city is home to one of Portugal's most concentrated collections of Art Nouveau buildings, some of which now house museums or cafes. Walking through its compact center reveals ornate facades with iron balconies, floral motifs, and colored tiles, reflecting an era of cosmopolitan ambition linked to Aveiro's mercantile families. In a quiet river valley of central Portugal, far from coastal resorts and urban bustle, stands a structure that transformed medieval Portuguese identity. Its austere grandeur and historical gravity mark not just architectural significance, but also a resting place of one of the country's most tragic love stories. This is Alcobaça, home to one of Europe's most iconic monastic complexes. The monastery of Alcobaça was founded in 1153 by King Afonso I as a gift to the Cistercian order, in gratitude for their support during the Christian reconquest of territory from the Moors. Construction spanned the 12th and 13th centuries, and what emerged was Portugal's first fully Gothic structure. Its stark limestone facade, vaulted ceilings, and lack of ornamentation reflect the Cistercian values of simplicity and devotion. The monastery houses the tombs of King Pedro I and Inés de Castro, a royal couple whose story has defined Portuguese romantic tragedy. Inés, the king's mistress and later posthumously declared queen, was assassinated by order of Pedro's father. Legend holds that Pedro later exhumed her body and forced the court to pay homage to her as queen. Their tombs, placed facing each other, are said to allow them to see each other again on Judgment Day. Beyond its historical narrative, the monastery also functioned as a major agricultural and economic hub in medieval Portugal. The Cistercians introduced advanced farming techniques, managed vast estates, and operated mills, contributing to the development of the surrounding region. Nestled at the edge of limestone cliffs and embraced by the vast Atlantic, a secluded beach in the Sintra Cascais Natural Park presents a landscape as wild as it is poetic. Steep winding roads descend from Almacajame to reveal this hidden cove, where dark rock formations punctuate golden sand, every element underscoring its untamed character. This is Praia Da Adraga, a place celebrated not in myth, but by distinct geological and cultural details. In 2003, the Sunday Times named it among Europe's top 20 beaches, and more recently, AFAR included it in a global best beach list. The cliffs here are sculpted from Jurassic limestone, tilted and eroded into dramatic shapes. To the south stands a vertical slab of crystalline rock, once part of local coming-of-age rituals. Young men reportedly climbed it to prove their courage. Nearby lies a natural blowhole carved by sea and rain. Local legend holds that the Romans believed a 90-meter triton played a conch shell deep within a tail, inspired by the sound of pressurized ocean waves echoing within the cavern. Praia da Adraga is also one of only a few blue flag beaches in the region, recognized for its clean waters and environmental standards. Although safe from major development thanks to zoning within the protected park, the site offers basic amenities: a lifeguard presence in summer, restroom and shower facilities, a small parking lot, and a beloved seafood restaurant right by the sand, serving catch-of-the-day specialties. For those seeking a moment of coastal escape that still feels authentically Portuguese, this cove offers solitude framed by elemental forces. Once a medieval capital and long-standing intellectual hub, one Portuguese city bridges centuries of scholarship with architectural elegance. Perched along the river Mondego, this location is neither the largest nor the most touristed, yet it continues to shape national identity through its academic, musical, and spiritual traditions. This is Coimbra, home to one of the oldest universities in Europe, established in 1290 and relocated to Coimbra in 1537. The University of Coimbra remains central to the city's identity, with its Baroque library, 18th century clock tower, and ceremonial rituals, inscribed as UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage since 2013. Its students, clad in traditional black capes, contribute to Coimbra's visual and cultural fabric. Before its academic prominence, Coimbra served as the first capital of Portugal from 1131 to 1255. It was under the reign of King Afonso Henriques, Portugal's first monarch, that the city solidified its importance. Coimbra is also closely associated with Fado de Coimbra, a distinct, melancholic musical genre traditionally sung by male students and accompanied by the Portuguese guitar. Unlike Lisbon's more emotionally raw Fado, Coimbra's version is formal, performed at night in academic garb, and often ends with a whispered silencio. The music is both an expression of longing and a ceremonial farewell to student life. Coimbra today blends youth and tradition, with a large student population animating its cafes and festivals. It remains a city not only of knowledge but of memory, where learning, faith, and song intertwine. Cloaked in mist and framed by dramatic cliffs, one of the most impressive natural spectacles in the Azores emerges where volcanic rock meets cascading water. Cascada do Poço do Bacalhau, located on the island of Flores, is a striking waterfall that exemplifies the raw beauty and geological richness of this remote Atlantic archipelago. This waterfall plunges from a height of approximately 90 meters, sourced from rain-fed streams that descend from the mountainous terrain above. The name Poço do Bacalhau refers to the pool at the base of the falls, which collects the water in a calm, reflective basin. During the rainy season, typically between October and April, the waterfall becomes significantly more vigorous, with a powerful flow that echoes through the surrounding valley. In contrast, the summer months may bring a more delicate stream, though the setting remains equally captivating. The area surrounding the waterfall is characterized by steep basalt cliffs, dense vegetation, and endemic species that thrive in the island's temperate and humid climate. It is included in this network of significant geosites due to its geomorphological features and the way it illustrates the interaction between volcanic processes and surface water systems. The scenic qualities of Cascada do Poço do Bacalhau have made it a quiet attraction for nature lovers, hikers, and photographers seeking to experience the Azores beyond the more visited islands. There is a mountainous expanse marked by glacial valleys, granite outcrops, and alpine meadows dominates the region's natural identity. It is Serra da Estrela, the highest mountain range in continental Portugal and a vital part of the country's ecological, geological, and cultural heritage. The range is part of the Sistema Central, an ancient mountain system formed hundreds of millions of years ago during the Variscan orogeny. Its rugged topography includes dramatic escarpments, plateaus, and cirques shaped by glacial activity during the last ice age, features rare in southern Europe. Evidence of this glacial past is visible in the form of U-shaped valleys, moraines, and glacial lakes scattered throughout the highlands. The area is protected under the Serra da Estrela Natural Park, established in 1976 as the largest protected area in Portugal. It spans over 100,000 hectares and contains diverse habitats, from oak and pine forests to rocky high-altitude zones. The park supports numerous endemic and endangered species. Flora also includes unique alpine and subalpine species that survive only in this microclimate. Beyond its physical grandeur, Serra da Estrela holds deep cultural and economic importance. The region has long supported pastoral communities, whose traditional livelihoods are closely linked to sheep herding and wool production. One of the most famous products associated with the region is Serra da Estrela cheese, a soft, rich sheep's milk cheese with protected designation of origin status. High upon a granite ridge in central Portugal, a village of stone lies wrapped within medieval walls, its silhouette unchanged for centuries. Sortelha, one of the country's oldest and best-preserved historical settlements, offers a rare glimpse into a landscape suspended in time. Shielded by its 13th century castle and surrounded by bare hills, the village retains the austere beauty of a frontier outpost built for defense, not display. The roots of Sortella stretch deep into antiquity. Archaeological traces suggest pre-Roman occupation, but it was under medieval rule, particularly during the reigns of Sancho II and Dinis I, that the village gained its fortified shape. Its strategic location near the borderlands made it a key defensive point during the Christian reconquest, and the granite walls that encircle it today were once battlements guarding against incursion. Wandering through Sortella is to enter a world untouched by the passage of time. The streets are narrow, uneven, and paved with centuries-old stone. Houses seem to emerge directly from the earth, built from the same granite that forms the landscape. Their facades bear no signs of modernity, no bright paint, no glassy storefronts, only weathered lintels, iron hinges, and hand-carved symbols. The rhythm of the village is quiet and unhurried, shaped more by light and shadow than by clocks or commerce. At the village's highest point, the ruins of the castle stand watch. From its walls, the view stretches across valleys and distant mountains, revealing the isolation and natural fortification that made Sortella so difficult to conquer. Facing the Atlantic Ocean on the western edge of Portugal, Cascais has grown from a modest fishing village into one of the country's most emblematic coastal towns. Located approximately 30 kilometers west of Lisbon, it combines maritime heritage, royal history, and a temperate coastal landscape to form a destination known for both tradition and refined leisure. This area played a strategic maritime role due to its natural harbor. During the Age of Discovery, it served as a waypoint for ships leaving or entering the Tagus River. In the 19th century, the town underwent a major transformation when King Louis I of Portugal chose it as his summer residence. This royal association encouraged aristocratic families and the Lisbon elite to build vacation homes there, setting the tone for Cascais as a resort town of prestige. While parts of the town preserve the charm of a traditional fishing port, others feature architecture influenced by Romanticism, Art Nouveau, and early 20th century modernism. The coastline is shaped by rocky outcrops, small bays, and stretches of sand that have long attracted both residents and visitors. Its maritime climate, with mild winters and dry summers, reinforces its year-round appeal. Throughout the 20th century, Cascais solidified its identity as both a cultural retreat and an international refuge. During World War II, the town hosted exiled royalty and political figures from across Europe. Its relative neutrality and calm surroundings made it a discreet haven. After the war, it remained a favored destination among diplomats, artists, and affluent travelers. Established in 1971, it spans over 700 square kilometers and stretches across the districts of Viana do Castelo, Braga, and Vila Real, bordering Spain's Baixa Limia Serra do Xerez Natural Park. Peneda-Gerês National Park is recognized for both its ecological diversity and cultural continuity, preserving landscapes and traditions that have evolved over centuries. Its terrain is shaped by rugged mountains interspersed with forests, glacial valleys, and upland plateaus. These contrasting altitudes and microclimates support a wide range of habitats, making Peneda-Gerês a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve since 2009. Megalithic tombs, Roman roads, and medieval sanctuaries coexist with traditional granite villages, where pastoral life continues with limited change. The park protects not only nature but also a way of life. Transhuman shepherding practices, communal grazing systems, and agricultural terraces built into mountain slopes are still used today. Winding lanes, sun-bleached walls, and echoes of distant guitar strings define one of Lisbon's oldest and most characterful neighborhoods. Alfama, spread across the southeastern slope beneath the city's historic fortress, offers a living archive of urban continuity, shaped by centuries of maritime, Moorish, and Christian influence. Unlike much of Lisbon, which was devastated by the 1755 earthquake, Alfama remained largely intact, preserving its labyrinthine layout and medieval architecture. Between the 8th and 12th centuries, Alfama formed the eastern quarters of Al-Ushbuna, with narrow alleyways and terraced homes constructed on steep terrain to optimize defense and shade. After the Christian reconquest in 1147, the neighborhood retained its structure but gradually evolved as a space for fishermen, artisans, and the city's working classes, many of whom remained close to the Tagus River. The region's compact architecture, with tightly packed houses, small patios, and hanging laundry, reflects centuries of informal urban growth. Its streets appear to bend with memory, shaped more by habit than by design. Stairs lead to unseen corners, and sudden viewpoints offer glimpses of tiled rooftops descending toward the river. The district's annual festivals, especially during the June celebrations of St. Anthony, turn the streets into a blur of lights, music, and grilled sardines, reaffirming communal ties that outlast passing visitors. In the granite heartland of northern Portugal, a city often described as the cradle of the nation holds a singular place in the country's historical narrative. Guimarães, now a modern municipality, is revered as the birthplace of Portuguese identity. Its connection to the early stages of nationhood and the first king of Portugal, Afonso Henriques, makes it not only a symbol of independence, but also a living repository of medieval urbanism. The origins of Guimarães trace back to the 10th century, when a monastery and settlement were established under the patronage of Countess Mumadona Dias. She ordered the construction of a fortress to protect the surrounding religious community and growing village. Over the next centuries, that fortress, now a national symbol, played a role in military conflicts and dynastic disputes. Most notably, it is closely associated with the Battle of São Mamed in 1128, a pivotal confrontation that paved the way for the foundation of the Kingdom of Portugal under Afonso Henriques. Guimarães developed as a walled city, its urban fabric shaped by the needs of defense, commerce, and religious life. The historic center, remarkably well preserved, features narrow granite streets, arched passageways, iron balconies, and communal squares that reflect centuries of continuity. In recognition of this unique architectural and historical cohesion, the city's old town was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2001, cited as an exceptionally well-preserved and authentic example of the evolution of a medieval settlement into a modern town. The Douro Valley is one of the oldest regulated wine regions in the world. In 1756, the Marquis of Pombal established official boundaries for the production of port wine, creating the Região Demarcada do Douro. This legal framework aimed to control quality and prevent fraud centuries before similar protections existed elsewhere in Europe. Today, the valley continues to produce both fortified and non-fortified wines, including reds and whites under the Douro DOC label. The region is defined by steep terraced hills carved into the shale-based slopes of the riverbanks. These man-made terraces, called socalcos, are the result of generations of viticultural engineering. They support thousands of hectares of grapevines, primarily of native Portuguese varieties such as Touriga Nacional, Touriga Franca, and Tinta Roriz. The rugged topography, combined with extreme climatic variations, creates ideal but challenging growing conditions that contribute to the distinct character of Douro wines. In 2001, UNESCO designated the Alto Douro wine region as a World Heritage Site, highlighting its unique combination of natural beauty and cultural heritage. The designation celebrates not only the landscape itself, but also the centuries of human activity that have shaped it. Stone walls, whitewashed wine estates, and river ports stand as enduring evidence of a community adapted to its environment through ingenuity and resilience. The Douro River served as the principal route for transporting wine downstream to the coastal city of Porto. Traditional wooden cargo boats known as rabelos once navigated the fast-flowing river, carrying barrels to aging cellars. Surrounded by dramatic coastal cliffs and set against a mountainous interior, Funchal is the capital and largest city of the Portuguese island of Madeira. Located in the Atlantic Ocean off the northwest coast of Africa, this city serves as both the political and cultural heart of the autonomous region. With a history that dates back over 500 years, Funchal has evolved from a strategic maritime settlement into a modern urban center, while preserving strong ties to its insular heritage. The name Funchal is derived from funcho, the Portuguese word for fennel, a plant that once grew abundantly in the area. First settled by the Portuguese in the early 15th century during the Age of Discoveries, the city rapidly gained importance as a port for ships traveling between Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Its natural harbor offered shelter and supplies, turning Funchal into a key logistical and commercial outpost in the Atlantic. By the 16th century, Funchal had become a major exporter of sugar, a commodity that brought wealth, international attention, and diverse cultural influences. Merchants from Italy, Flanders, and Britain established a presence here, shaping the city's architecture and economy. Over time, sugar gave way to wine as the region's leading export, and Madeira wine would go on to achieve international acclaim, even being used to toast the signing of the American Declaration of Independence. The city is nestled in a natural amphitheater, with terraced neighborhoods rising steeply from the coastline into the surrounding hills. Exposed to shifting clouds and sharp Atlantic winds, Pico do Arriero rises as one of Madeira's highest points, reaching an altitude of 1,818 meters above sea level. It is the third highest peak on the island and offers one of the most accessible introductions to the dramatic topography of Madeira's central mountain range. Despite its elevation, Pico do Arriero is reachable by road, making it one of the few summits in Portugal that combines high mountain conditions with year-round access. The surrounding terrain is shaped by millions of years of geological activity, marked by jagged ridges, deep ravines, and ancient lava flows. From the summit, on clear days, visitors can view a panorama that stretches across the island to the Atlantic Ocean, and occasionally even glimpse the neighboring island of Porto Santo to the northeast. The region receives regular precipitation and is frequently shrouded in mist or clouds due to orographic lift when moist ocean air rises and condenses as it passes over the mountains. This phenomenon contributes to the lush laurel forests and endemic flora that thrive in nearby protected zones. Ecologically, the area surrounding Pico do Arriero lies within the Madeira Natural Park, a designated conservation area that supports unique biodiversity. While the summit itself is mostly composed of barren rock and alpine vegetation, lower slopes host endemic species such as Echium candicans, commonly known as pride of Madeira, and the Trocaz pigeon, a bird species found only in Madeira. Striped facades painted in vivid hues have become the unmistakable visual signature of Costa Nova do Prado, a narrow coastal strip located in central Portugal. Positioned between the Atlantic Ocean and the Aveiro Lagoon, this seaside locality belongs to the municipality of Ilhavo in the Aveiro district. It forms part of Portugal's central coastline, historically associated with fishing, maritime trade, and seasonal leisure. Costa Nova developed in the 19th century as a summer retreat, especially for residents of nearby inland cities. The iconic wooden houses originally built by fishermen to store equipment are known as palheiros and are now preserved or restored in bold vertical or horizontal stripes of red, green, yellow, or blue. Though these structures once served utilitarian purposes, their aesthetic evolution into vacation homes marked a shift in the region's identity. Costa Nova is set on a sandspit bordered by dunes and pine groves to the west and the Aveiro Lagoon to the east. This configuration creates a microenvironment with both marine and lagoonal influences. The Atlantic-facing side is known for its wide, sandy beaches and active surf, while the lagoon side provides calmer waters used for sailing, rowing, and traditional Molicero boat navigation. Its compact layout and scenic contrast between sea and lagoon have maintained its relevance as both a historical site and a contemporary coastal destination. Nestled along the banks of the Tamega River and framed by the forested hills of northern Portugal, Amarante is a historic town recognized for its enduring connection to religious heritage, traditional architecture, and regional identity. Located in the district of Porto, within the Norte region, it forms part of the Tamega e Susa subregion. The town's development has been shaped by its strategic position near mountain ranges and river valleys, fostering agricultural activity, trade, and spiritual pilgrimage over centuries. The built environment of Amarante reflects centuries of architectural continuity. Houses with wooden balconies, granite facades, and tiled rooftops align the narrow, sloped streets leading to the river. Several structures date from the 16th to 18th centuries, and their preservation offers a glimpse into the urban character of Portugal's interior towns. The Tamega River, once used for transporting timber and goods, now serves as a scenic centerpiece around which much of the town's daily life unfolds. In modern times, Amarante has developed as a cultural and educational hub for the surrounding rural areas. It supports regional arts through galleries, craft production, and literary events. Festivals and cultural programs reinforce local identity while attracting visitors seeking experiences grounded in authenticity and heritage. Amarante is also a gateway to nature tourism. Its proximity to protected mountain zones and river ecosystems allows for hiking, river sports, and ecological observation. Several regional trails pass through the area, highlighting both natural and cultural features of inland northern Portugal. Surrounded by ancient walls and shaped by centuries of settlement, Évora stands as one of Portugal's most historically significant cities. Its long-standing role as a cultural, religious, and administrative center has left a layered urban fabric reflecting Roman, Moorish, medieval Christian, and Renaissance influences. Recognized for its historical continuity and architectural preservation, the city was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1986. The area lies on a gently sloping hill rising above the surrounding plains. This position historically gave it both strategic value and agricultural importance. Évora's urban form developed within fortified boundaries, with whitewashed buildings, narrow alleys, and open squares forming a cohesive example of southern Iberian town planning. The city's Roman foundations remain visible in various structural forms, dating from the period when Évora was known as Liberalitas Julia, a prominent Roman municipium. The subsequent Moorish occupation, from the 8th to the 12th centuries, further shaped the city's architectural and spatial identity. Following the Christian reconquest, Évora became a favored residence of Portuguese monarchs and clergy, particularly during the 15th and 16th centuries, a period that saw significant religious and academic expansion. It housed important theological institutions and contributed to the Counter-Reformation efforts in the Iberian Peninsula. Its role in Portuguese intellectual history is underscored by the founding of early seminaries and its support for academic pursuits during the Renaissance period. The Palace of Mafra is one of Portugal's most impressive Baroque monuments, combining a royal palace, basilica, convent, library, and vast gardens into a single monumental complex. Commissioned in 1717 by King João V, the palace was originally intended as a small monastery to honor a vow made upon the birth of his daughter. However, fueled by the immense wealth pouring in from Brazil's gold mines, the project expanded into a grand architectural statement designed to rival Europe's finest. Covering more than 38,000 square meters, the palace features over 1,200 rooms, 4,700 doors and windows, and 156 staircases, making it one of the largest buildings of its kind on the continent. Its symmetrical facade, twin bell towers, and central basilica reflect Italian Baroque influences, largely shaped by the German architect Johann Friedrich Ludwig. At the heart of the palace lies the basilica, a richly ornamented church adorned with Italian marble, religious sculptures, and frescoes. Works by Portuguese artists like Domingos, Sequeira, and Cirilo Volkmar Machado adorn the interior, alongside Italian statuary commissioned specifically for the basilica. Some of the artworks even contain esoteric symbols tied to Freemasonry and mysticism, reflecting the philosophical trends of the 18th century. In 2019, the Palace of Mafra, along with its basilica, convent, library, gardens, and tappada, was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized for its architectural unity and cultural significance. Today, it remains open to visitors year-round, offering guided tours and organ concerts that bring its history to life. Every year, throngs of pilgrims travel on foot across Portugal's rural heartlands, driven by devotion rather than distance. Their journey leads to one of the most revered Catholic sites in the world, a destination shaped not by stone, but by faith, and a series of reported divine encounters in the early 20th century. The Sanctuary of Fatima stands near the town of Fatima in central Portugal and commemorates the Marian apparitions reported by 3 shepherd children in 1917. According to the children, Lucia dos Santos and her cousins, Francisco and Jacinta Marto, the Virgin Mary, appeared to them on multiple occasions, delivering messages urging prayer, penance, and devotion. These events, known as the apparitions of Our Lady of Fatima, drew increasing public attention and were eventually recognized by the Catholic Church as worthy of belief in 1930. At the heart of the sanctuary complex is the Basilica of Our Lady of the Rosary, built between 1928 and 1953-inch neo-Baroque style. Born out of victory and shaped by devotion, one monument in central Portugal stands as a lasting tribute to both national pride and Gothic artistry. Its intricate stone lacework and towering spires tell a story not only of faith, but also of a kingdom's turning point. The Batalha Monastery, officially the Monastery of Santa Maria da Vitória, was commissioned by King João I in 1386 to commemorate Portugal's decisive victory over Castile at the Battle of Aljubarrota in 1385. This battle secured Portuguese independence and solidified the Aviz dynasty's rule. Construction began shortly after the victory and continued over the next 2 centuries, resulting in an architectural masterpiece that blends Gothic, Manuelan, and early Renaissance elements. Situated in the town of Batalha, the monastery features a grand church with high vaulted ceilings and an austere nave flanked by delicate stained glass windows. It served both as a religious site and a dynastic pantheon. The founder's chapel contains the tombs of King João I, his wife Philippa of Lancaster, and their son, Prince Henry the Navigator, one of the key figures of the Portuguese Age of Discoveries. This space reflects the alliance between Portugal and England and the country's maritime ambitions in the 15th century. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983, Batalha Monastery remains a symbol of national resilience and artistic innovation. Its cloisters, royal tombs, and chapels attract both historians and visitors, drawn to its harmonious blend of spiritual, political, and architectural legacy. More than a religious complex, the Batalha Monastery is a monument to a defining moment in Portuguese history. Long before it gained fame for record-breaking waves and extreme surf, one coastal village in central Portugal lived by quieter rhythms, those of fishing boats, religious pilgrimages, and sea-worn legends passed down through generations. Nazaré, perched on the Atlantic coast in the Leiria district, is now widely recognized for its towering waves and as a world-class big-wave surfing destination. The natural phenomenon responsible for these waves is the Nazaré Canyon, an underwater geological fault that plunges to depths of over 5,000 meters and channels ocean swells toward the shore with exceptional power. Beyond its reputation among surfers, Nazaré retains deep cultural and historical roots. Traditionally a fishing village, it developed a distinct maritime identity shaped by the perils and bounty of the sea. Many locals still honor customs linked to seafaring life, such as wearing the Seven Skirts costume, a layered traditional dress worn by women said to symbolize the 7 days of the week, the 7 virtues, or the 7 waves watched while waiting for their husbands to return from sea. A prominent part of Nazaré's identity is also religious. According to legend, in 1182, a local nobleman named Dom Fuas Rupinho was saved from falling off a cliff by the miraculous intervention of the Virgin Mary. In gratitude, he built a small sanctuary, Ermita de Memoria, on the very spot. Today, this story is commemorated through pilgrimages and religious festivals, particularly at the sanctuary of Our Lady of Nazaré, which stands as a spiritual center and architectural focal point of the town. Its strategic position once made it a defensive outpost against invading forces, while today it serves as a living monument to centuries of Portuguese history, layered in limestone alleys and whitewashed homes. Encircled by medieval walls and overlooking the vast Alquiva Reservoir, Monsaraz rises like a stone sentinel from the plains of southeastern Portugal. This hilltop village, located in the Alentejo region near the Spanish border, is one of the oldest settlements in the country, continuously inhabited since prehistoric times. Monsaraz's origins date back to prehistoric times, as evidenced by numerous megalithic structures scattered in the surrounding countryside. These include dolmens, menhirs, and stone circles, revealing the spiritual and ritual significance of the area long before Roman or Moorish influence. During the Islamic period, the site gained prominence under the name Saris, before being captured in the 12th century by Christian forces during the Reconquista. The Knights Templar, and later the Order of Santiago, fortified the settlement, leaving behind the imposing castle and walls that still define its silhouette today. This place's narrow cobbled streets, low-slung houses with red-tiled roofs, and discreet Manueline and Gothic details have remained largely unchanged for centuries. Religious life in the village revolves around the 16th century Igreja Matriz de Nossa Senhora da Lagoa, whose Renaissance facade and Baroque altars reflect the stylistic shifts of Portugal's ecclesiastical architecture. From seasonal festivities to the preservation of crafts like pottery and embroidery, the village maintains a strong connection to regional identity. Once a strategic stronghold of the Knights Templar, the town of Tomar bears the weight of Portugal's medieval and religious history. Situated along the Nabao River in central Portugal, Tomar became one of the most important centers of the Templar order in Europe during the 12th and 13th centuries. The influence of the order, later reconstituted as the Order of Christ, permeates the town's layout, architecture, and cultural identity, most notably through the monumental Convent of Christ, which dominates the landscape from its hilltop position. The architectural centerpiece of Tomar is the Convent of Christ, a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1983. Originally a Templar stronghold, the complex evolved over centuries to incorporate Romanesque, Gothic, Manueline, Renaissance, and Baroque elements. Its most iconic feature is the Charola, a circular church inspired by Jerusalem's Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which reflects the crusading mission of the Templars. The ornate Manueline window of the chapter house, adorned with maritime and natural motifs, symbolizes the intertwining of religious faith and nautical exploration during the reign of King Manuel I. Beyond the convent, Tomar's urban center retains the orthogonal street plan laid out by the Templars, designed with symbolic numerology and religious intent. Tomar also hosts one of the most unique festivals in the country, the Festival of the Trays, held every 4 years. With roots in ancient fertility rituals and later Christianized, the festival involves a grand procession of women balancing tall trays of bread and flowers on their heads, symbolizing abundance and faith. Perched between the Atlantic Ocean and the lush hills of northern Portugal, Viana do Castelo is a city defined by its maritime heritage, religious architecture, and a deep-rooted connection to both land and sea. Its location at the mouth of the Lima River made it a vital port from the 15th century onward, especially during the Portuguese discoveries, and later as a center of cod fishing and shipbuilding. Viana do Castelo flourished during the Age of Discoveries, when its shipyards contributed to the expansion of Portuguese naval exploration. The port served as a launch point for trade and voyages to Africa, India, and Brazil. Its economic prosperity during the 16th century led to the construction of ornate civic and religious buildings, many of which remain today. The city became particularly known for its involvement in the cod fisheries of Newfoundland from the 18th century onward, establishing a seafaring identity that still shapes local traditions. The city's historic center is filled with noble houses, granite facades, and intricately decorated fountains. Beyond its historical and cultural wealth, the region surrounding Viana do Castelo features dramatic coastal landscapes, sandy beaches, and verdant hills popular with hikers and cyclists. The city has also invested in preserving its natural environment, making it a gateway to both ecological tourism and cultural discovery. Rising 140 meters above the Atlantic Ocean, this headland is part of the Sintra mountain range and offers dramatic vistas where rugged stone meets endless sea. Inscribed on a stone monument near the lighthouse is a quote by Portuguese poet Luís de Camões, "Where the land ends and the sea begins," capturing the symbolic and geographical weight of the location. Though it appears remote, Cabo da Roca held strategic importance for centuries. A defensive watchtower once stood on these cliffs, guarding the maritime approaches to Lisbon. Today, the iconic lighthouse built in 1772 and still operational continues this legacy of coastal surveillance. With its stark granite outcrops, marine vegetation, and constant Atlantic winds, the site embodies the untamed edge of continental Europe. Despite its harsh terrain, Cabo da Roca draws travelers year-round for its panoramic views and symbolic significance. Many visitors collect certificates from the local tourism office, confirming their visit to mainland Europe's western edge. The area's popularity has grown, yet it remains largely undeveloped, with only a few amenities near the lighthouse. The contrast between the minimalist human presence and the overwhelming scale of sea and sky contributes to the site's timeless appeal. From early cartographers to modern travelers, the Cape has represented a place of transition and awe. Its enduring appeal lies not in monumental structures or urban activity, but in the elemental power of the natural world unfolding at Europe's edge. Overlooking the Douro River from its southern bank, Vila Nova de Gaia is often seen as the quiet counterpart to Porto, but its role in Portugal's history, economy, and identity is anything but secondary. This city is internationally recognized as the heart of the port wine industry, where centuries-old wine lodges age and export one of the country's most iconic products. While the neighboring city of Porto produces the wine in the Douro Valley, Gaia is where it has traditionally been stored, matured, and distributed across the globe since the 18th century. Beyond its connection to port wine, Vila Nova de Gaia holds deep maritime and religious heritage. The city was historically an important point in shipbuilding and naval trade due to its direct access to the Atlantic. It was also a departure site for many expeditions during the Age of Discoveries. Inland, pilgrimage routes cross the area, linking local churches and sanctuaries with the broader spiritual landscape of northern Portugal. This area stretches from the riverbank to the Atlantic coast, encompassing urban areas, green hills, and long sandy beaches. The coastline is a significant draw for both residents and visitors, offering promenades, surf-friendly waves, and expansive ocean views. It has become increasingly popular as part of the city's transformation into a vibrant residential and tourism destination, while still preserving many fishing communities and traditions. The riverfront area facing Porto has undergone significant revitalization and now serves as one of the region's most photographed spots. Crisscrossed by tidal inlets and washed by the calm waters of the Guilhão River, Tavira is one of the Algarve's most architecturally harmonious and historically layered towns. Unlike the modern resort hubs along Portugal's southern coast, Tavira offers a gentler rhythm shaped by cobbled alleys, whitewashed facades, and remnants of Islamic architecture that reflect centuries of cultural fusion. The town's skyline is punctuated by more than 20 churches, a number remarkable for its size, reflecting Tavira's historical religious importance, particularly during the 16th and 17th centuries. Architectural features such as manual doorways, Renaissance stonework, and Baroque bell towers reveal layers of stylistic evolution. The former castle, mostly in ruins, still stands as a testament to Tavira's strategic role during the Reconquista and later in the coastal defenses against piracy. The traditional architecture of Tavira is marked by telhados de tesouro, or hipped pyramidal rooftops, a regional design that distinguishes the town from other parts of the Algarve. Decorative tilework, cast iron balconies, and lattice doors also give visual continuity to the streetscape. Public squares and riverside promenades maintain a relaxed ambiance, with cafes and craft shops offering products tied to local traditions, such as ceramics, lacework, and fig-based sweets. Although tourism has expanded in recent decades, Tavira remains comparatively low-rise and less commercialized than other Algarve destinations. Located near Lagos, the headland is famed for its towering rock formations, sea arches, and grottos that form a maze of geological sculptures carved over millennia. The cliffs at Ponta Da Piedade reach up to 20 meters in height, forming a jagged coastline of honey-colored stone that glows under the southern sunday. Their layered textures and unique silhouettes, some resembling ships, animals, or columns, make them a popular subject for photography and sightseeing. The constant interplay between sunlight and shadows across the rock surfaces, particularly during sunrise or sunset, enhances the sense of grandeur and motion. Access to the site can be gained via staircases carved into the cliffs or by sea, where small boats and kayaks navigate through narrow passages and sea caves. From the water, visitors can observe the hidden interiors of the grottos, revealing stratified limestone patterns and marine life along the submerged edges. At low tide, many of these formations reveal deeper cavities and unusual echo effects, adding to their mystical appeal. Local boat tours often include commentary on the names given to specific formations based on local folklore or their shapes. Though not officially protected as a natural park, Ponta da Piedade is part of the Algarve's wider conservation efforts to preserve marine biodiversity and minimize coastal degradation. The nearby marine environment is home to diverse species, including octopuses, sea stars, and various seabirds. Above the cliffs, endemic plants cling to the rock faces, while seabirds nest in sheltered crevices. What distinguishes Ribeira da Janela's coastline are the monumental sea stacks, remnants of ancient volcanic activity that formed the island itself. The largest of these rock towers are battered by waves and sculpted by time, featuring vertical fissures and sharp silhouettes that change hue with the shifting light. The natural window piercing one of the stacks gives the area its poetic name and serves as a popular subject for photographers and landscape enthusiasts. Ribeira da Janela is among the longest river valleys on Madeira Island, flowing from the island's central highlands down to the Atlantic Ocean. The watercourse cuts deeply through forested escarpments, where endemic laurel trees dominate the steep slopes, a remnant of Madeira's ancient Laurisilva forest, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Mist often rolls down from the uplands, cloaking the valley in an ethereal atmosphere that contrasts sharply with the pounding surf at its terminus. Despite its striking scenery, the village of Ribeira da Janela remains one of the most remote communities on Madeira. Historically dependent on agriculture and forestry, the area has retained much of its traditional character. Stone houses cling to hillsides, and narrow terraces line the valley, cultivated with crops adapted to the steep terrain. A winding road carved into the cliffs provides limited access, reinforcing the sense of seclusion that defines the location. Jutting out into the Atlantic Ocean, a wind-battered peninsula in western Portugal has long balanced between sea and stone. This is Peniche, a coastal town defined by maritime tradition, dramatic cliffs, and a fortress once feared for its silence. Though small in size, Peniche has played an outsized role in Portuguese history, both as a natural stronghold and as a vital fishing and seafaring hub. It occupies a unique position on a headland of Jurassic limestone, forming rugged sea cliffs and caves carved by millennia of ocean erosion. The surrounding waters are notoriously dynamic, contributing to the town's reputation as one of the best surf destinations in Europe. Peniche's strategic location made it a focal point of both defense and imprisonment. The imposing 16th century fortress overlooking the harbor, initially built to ward off pirates and invasions, was repurposed in the 20th century as a political prison during Portugal's authoritarian Estado Novo regime. Among the most famous episodes tied to this site is the 1960 escape of communist leader Álvaro Cunhal, whose breakout remains one of the most symbolic events of resistance against the dictatorship. This region also has a long-standing connection to the sea. The town's economy has traditionally revolved around fishing, shipbuilding, and lace-making, a craft introduced in the 17th century and still practiced today. Its ports are filled with fishing boats and seafood markets, particularly known for fresh sardines and octopus, essential elements of the local cuisine. Bordered by the broad Guadiana River and built with 18th century precision, Vila Real de Santo Antonio occupies a distinct place at Portugal's southeastern edge. This town, planned from the ground up after the 1755 Lisbon earthquake, reflects Enlightenment ideals in its orderly grid layout and neoclassical architecture, rare features in a region more typically shaped by organic medieval growth. Facing Spain across the water and flanked by the Algarve coast, Villarreal de Santo Antonio functions as both a frontier town and a coastal retreat. Its foundation in 1774 was part of a broader effort by the Marquis of Pombal to rebuild and modernize Portugal following the devastation of the earthquake. The town was constructed rapidly, using prefabricated techniques previously applied in Lisbon's Beja district, making it one of the earliest examples of modular urban planning in the country. The town became a key hub for the Algarve's tuna and sardine fishing industries in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Its port and canning factories contributed significantly to the local economy, though this industrial activity has since declined. The waterfront area today is dominated more by leisure boats, promenades, and cross-border ferries than by working vessels. Spanish day trippers and Portuguese residents alike navigate between the two sides of the river with ease, blending Iberian influences in daily life. The town also serves as a gateway to the eastern Algarve's more tranquil landscapes, offering access to salt marshes, dunes, and bird life within the Castro. Renowned across Portugal for its iconic rooster symbol, Barcelos holds a unique place in the country's cultural memory. The legend of the Gallo de Barcelos, a miraculous rooster said to have saved a pilgrim from wrongful execution, has transcended folklore to become a national emblem, commonly seen in ceramics and souvenirs. Yet beyond this tale, the town itself presents a layered historical narrative rooted in medieval traditions, artisanal heritage, and religious devotion. Situated in the Minho region of northern Portugal, Barcelos developed as a strategic settlement along the Covado River. Its historical growth was shaped by ecclesiastical power and noble patronage, particularly from the Counts of Barcelos in the 14th century. The town's medieval heart still echoes these origins, with Gothic ruins, Baroque architecture, and stone-paved streets that radiate outward from a central plaza where weekly markets have taken place since 1412, one of the oldest and most prominent in the country. Barcelos has long been a center of popular art in Portugal. Artisans from the region contributed to the spread of folk sculpture and ceramics during the 20th century, many of which depict religious scenes, rural life, or humorous caricatures. This artistic legacy is still honored through local workshops, museums, and festivals. In 2017, Barcelos was recognized as a UNESCO Creative City in the field of crafts and folk art, reflecting its sustained commitment to cultural preservation and creativity. Originally conceived as a military outpost to guard the entrance to Lisbon's harbor, the structure reflects the maritime ambitions of the Portuguese Age of Discoveries. Commissioned during the reign of King Manuel I and completed in 1519, the tower stands as a tangible symbol of an era when Portugal was establishing overseas colonies and mapping sea routes across the globe. Belém Tower is richly adorned with nautical motifs, armillary spheres, ropes, and Christian symbols, all carved into limestone. The architecture fuses Moorish, Gothic, and Renaissance influences, which were prevalent in Portugal's art and culture during that period. One notable decorative feature is a carved rhinoceros head, believed to be one of the first such depictions in European sculpture, inspired by a real rhinoceros gifted to the king by India's governor. Although the tower's initial function was defensive, it also served ceremonial and administrative purposes over time. Its strategic location enabled it to monitor maritime traffic entering and leaving Lisbon. The lower battery, outfitted with cannons, emphasized its military role, while upper floors included rooms that served as royal chambers or later as a customs office and even a prison. The significance of Belém Tower extends beyond its role in military history. It was inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983 alongside the nearby Jeronimos Monastery, both monuments recognized for their association with the Portuguese discoveries and for their representation of Manuelan architecture. The islet of Vilafranca do Campo is a volcanic tuff ring that has captured the interest of geologists, conservationists, and visitors alike. Formed by a submarine eruption thousands of years ago, this naturally circular islet encloses a nearly perfect saltwater lagoon at its center, connected to the ocean through a narrow channel. Its unusual geological structure and crystal-clear waters have made it one of the most iconic natural landmarks in the Azores archipelago. The islet is located approximately 500 meters from the town of Vilafranca do Campo, which was once the capital of São Miguel. Despite its proximity to the mainland, the islet remains uninhabited and protected, falling under the jurisdiction of the Natural Reserve of Vilafranca do Campo Islet, established in 1983. This classification aims to preserve the islet's delicate ecosystem, which includes unique endemic plant species and serves as a vital nesting ground for seabirds such as the Cory shearwater and the common tern. The central lagoon, shielded from ocean swells by the islet's ring formation, offers calm waters, ideal for swimming, snorkeling, and observing marine life. However, to prevent environmental degradation, the number of daily visitors is strictly regulated, especially during the summer months. Access to the islet is only possible via authorized boat services, and certain areas may be off-limits during bird nesting season. The protected status of the islet reflects broader conservation efforts in the Azores, where biodiversity and natural heritage are central to regional identity. Ponta de Sao Lourenco, named after the ship São Lourenço that sailed alongside João Gonçalves Zarco in the 15th century, presents a semi-arid volcanic landscape defined by steep cliffs, layered rock formations, and panoramic views over the Atlantic. Stretching about 9 kilometers in length, the area belongs to the Ponta de Sao Lourenco Nature Reserve, a designated protected zone that safeguards both marine and terrestrial biodiversity. It is home to several endemic plant species and is a nesting site for rare seabirds such as the Madeiran storm petrel and the Cory's shearwater. The surrounding waters are equally rich, frequently visited by monk seals and various dolphin species, contributing to its ecological importance within the Madeira Natural Park. A well-maintained trail of around 3 kilometers offers hikers expansive coastal views and close encounters with the area's volcanic past. Along the route, visitors pass through narrow ridgelines, wind-sculpted plateaus, and dramatic sea cliffs. Despite its remote feel, Ponta de Sao Lourenco remains easily accessible and is one of the most visited natural sites in Madeira. Its location on the leeward side of the island also means clearer skies and warmer temperatures throughout most of the year, making it ideal for hiking, birdwatching, and landscape photography. This remote headland is distinguished by its steep coastal cliffs and windswept plateaus, offering unobstructed ocean views and a sense of geographic finality. Ponta do Pargo reveals a drier, open landscape shaped by exposure to prevailing winds and sparse human development. A defining feature of the area is the Farol de Ponta do Pargo, Madeira's tallest lighthouse. Built in 1922 atop cliffs, rising over 300 meters above sea level, the lighthouse continues to guide ships navigating the western Atlantic approaches. Its presence also underscores the region's historical connection to maritime navigation, particularly during the height of transatlantic exploration. Today, it doubles as a scenic lookout and a modest museum, providing visitors with insight into the island's coastal heritage. Beyond its visual appeal, Ponta do Pargo is part of the Natura 2000 network, a European conservation initiative that protects habitats of ecological importance. Ponta do Pargo also holds significance in local rural life. Traditional terraced farming still exists in the nearby village, reflecting a way of life deeply connected to the landscape. The community celebrates a regional agricultural fair annually, showcasing local produce and crafts. Shaped by volcanic forces over millions of years, this rugged summit offers commanding views of the island's diverse terrain, ranging from deep ravines and forested valleys to the surrounding Atlantic Ocean. Pico Ruivo stands as the highest peak on Madeira Island and the third highest in all of Portugal. Access to Pico Ruivo typically begins from one of several marked trails, the most popular of which starts at Achada do Teixeira. Though the ascent involves moderate effort, the trail is well maintained and reveals a dynamic landscape characterized by jagged basalt ridges, shifting mist, and hardy vegetation adapted to high altitudes. The upper reaches are often enveloped in clouds, creating dramatic conditions that change rapidly with the weather. Due to its elevation, Pico Ruivo plays an important role in Madeira's microclimate. It often receives moisture from cloud banks that form when Atlantic air masses rise along the mountainsides. This phenomenon supports the surrounding ecosystems and contributes to the island's high level of biodiversity. The summit itself, offers panoramic views that, on clear days, stretch across the central spine of Madeira and down to the coastline. Perched along a rugged hilltop and fortified by centuries of weather and war, the Moorish Castle of Sintra is a monument to the long, complex history of the Iberian Peninsula. Constructed during the 8th and 9th centuries by Muslim forces during the period of Al-Andalus, the castle served both as a strategic military outpost and a protective barrier for the agricultural lands surrounding the Sintra Mountains. Its elevated position offers sweeping views of the Atlantic coast and the plains stretching toward Lisbon, reinforcing its defensive importance during the early medieval period. The castle's architecture reflects a practical, military-oriented design with thick stone walls extending along the ridgeline, punctuated by lookout towers and narrow battlements that allowed defenders to monitor movement across vast distances. The fortress was constructed using local granite, giving it a weathered, organic appearance that blends naturally with the rocky terrain. The strategic relevance of the Moorish castle declined after the Christian reconquest of Sintra in 1147 by King Afonso Henriques. Although the site continued to serve as a lookout point during the early Portuguese kingdom, it gradually lost military significance and fell into partial ruin. During the 19th century, the castle was rediscovered and partially restored under the direction of King Ferdinand II, who appreciated its romantic and historical value. Clinging to the granite peaks of central Portugal, the Castle of Monsanto rises from a landscape where nature and fortification merge almost seamlessly. Built into and around massive boulders, the structure exemplifies how medieval architecture could adapt to its geological surroundings rather than reshape them. The origins date back to the 12th century, when it was granted to the Order of the Knights Templar by King Afonso Henriques, following the Christian reconquest of the territory. The Templars fortified the area as part of a broader network of defensive structures designed to secure Portugal's eastern frontier. With natural rock formations serving as both obstacle and ally, huge boulders became walls, foundations, and even roofs of auxiliary spaces. Over time, Monsanto's strategic importance shifted. While the castle continued to serve defensive purposes into the later medieval period, its military relevance waned with changes in warfare and territorial boundaries. What remained was a fortified village that adapted to the rocky terrain, with houses, chapels, and cisterns built among the stones. Maintaining its enduring stone footprint and commanding location in the national consciousness despite falling into partial ruin by the 19th century. Tucked beneath a dramatic granite escarpment in northern Portugal, Senhora da Peneda is a sanctuary where nature, faith, and architectural symmetry converge. Located in the Peneda-Geres mountain range, this Marian pilgrimage site lies in one of the country's most remote and mountainous regions. Despite its isolation, it draws both spiritual pilgrims and visitors, seeking the austere beauty of its surroundings and the harmonious blend of religious architecture with the natural landscape. The sanctuary's origins trace back to the 13th century, when a shepherd reportedly witnessed an apparition of the Virgin Mary at the foot of the imposing Peneda cliff. However, the current structure began to take shape in the 18th century and was significantly expanded in the 19th. Its monumental staircase, composed of several terraced flights, ascends from the valley floor toward the sanctuary's facade, flanked by statues symbolizing the theological virtues: faith, hope, and charity. Despite its futuristic look, Covao dos Conchos is not a natural formation. It was constructed in 1955 as part of a hydroelectric project aimed at optimizing the region's water resources. The Bellmouth Spillway, essentially a vertical tunnel carved into the lake bed, channels excess water from the upper lagoon through a 1.519-meter-long tunnel beneath the granite terrain to feed into a larger reservoir. The structure's rim is 4.6 meters in diameter and cleverly disguised by moss and plant growth, giving it the illusion of a secret natural phenomenon. Over time, this unexpected visual effect has transformed a purely utilitarian structure into one of Portugal's most photogenic and surreal locations. Covao dos Conchos lies within the boundaries of Serra da Estrela Natural Park, Portugal's highest mountain range, and a protected area known for its glacial valleys, rare flora, and seasonal snowfall. To reach the spillway, visitors typically hike several kilometers from Lagoa Comprida along trails that offer panoramic views of the rugged terrain. With its elaborate limestone carvings and sweeping arcades facing the Tagus River, the Jeronimos Monastery stands as one of the most iconic examples of Manueline architecture in Portugal. Located in the Belém district of Lisbon, the monastery was commissioned by King Manuel I in the early 16th century to honor the voyages of Portuguese explorers and commemorate the success of Vasco da Gama's journey to India. It was built on the site of a former hermitage founded by Prince Henry the Navigator, where seafarers once prayed before setting sail. Construction began in 1501 and continued for nearly a century, employing a vast workforce and some of the most skilled artisans of the age. The design combines Gothic, Renaissance, and Manueline styles, named after King Manuel I, and is characterized by intricate maritime motifs such as ropes, coral, armillary spheres, and sea monsters. These elements reflect Portugal's age of discovery and the wealth that poured into the country from overseas trade during this period. The richly decorated cloisters, carved columns, and vaulted ceilings represent a pinnacle of Portuguese artistry, both structurally and symbolically. The monastery also served a religious purpose, housing the monks of the Order of Saint Jerome, who offered spiritual guidance to sailors and prayed for the soul of the king. The monks remained there until the order was dissolved in the 19th century. Today, the church and cloister are open to the public and continue to function as a place of historical reflection and national pride. Spanning a dramatic valley and surviving one of Europe's most devastating earthquakes, the Aguas Livres Aqueduct stands as a remarkable feat of 18th century engineering. Built to supply Lisbon with clean drinking water, the aqueduct system stretches for nearly 58 kilometers and showcases not only technical ingenuity, but also symbolic importance in the city's urban development. Its most iconic section, crossing the Alcantara Valley, includes 35 stone arches, with the tallest reaching 65 meters, making it one of the highest masonry aqueducts in the world. Construction began in 1731 under the reign of King João V, who financed the project using revenues from Brazilian gold. The design was entrusted to engineer Manuel de Maia and later overseen by Custodio Vieira, who introduced advanced structural techniques to adapt to Lisbon's seismic risk. When the catastrophic earthquake of 1755 struck, the aqueduct survived, largely unscathed, an outcome that enhanced its reputation as a marvel of resilience and architectural balance. Architecturally, the aqueduct reflects a blend of late Baroque and utilitarian design, prioritizing structural durability while preserving a monumental aesthetic. The limestone arches that dominate the skyline of the Alcantara Valley were meticulously aligned without the use of iron reinforcements. Over time, the aqueduct ceased active use in the late 20th century, but remains a protected heritage site. Inspired by a towering symbol of faith across the Atlantic, one of Portugal's most recognizable monuments stands high above the Tagus River, overlooking Lisbon with open arms. The Cristo Rei statue in Almada was modeled after the Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro and reflects a similar blend of religious devotion, post-war gratitude, and architectural ambition. The monument was conceived in 1934 by Cardinal Patriarch Manuel Gonçalves Sarragera, but it was only after World War II that it gained momentum. Portugal, having remained neutral during the conflict, built the monument as a national act of thanksgiving for being spared from the war's destruction. Its inauguration on May 17, 1959, marked the culmination of a large-scale fundraising effort supported by Catholic communities across the country. The statue itself stands 28 meters tall and is mounted on a 5-meter high pedestal shaped like a triumphal arch. Together, they reach a total height of 113 meters, making Cristo Rei one of the tallest monuments in Portugal. The reinforced concrete structure, designed by engineer Francisco de Melo A. Castro and architect Antonio Lino, rests on a clifftop that offers sweeping views of the Tagus estuary and Lisbon skyline, including the 25 de Abril Bridge. From a distance, the monument appears as a serene figure with outstretched arms, conveying peace and protection. Surrounded by dry plains near the Spanish border, one fortified town in Portugal reveals a legacy carved by centuries of military strategy and cross-border tensions. Elvas, located in the Alentejo region, is renowned for its extensive star-shaped fortifications, some of the best preserved examples of military architecture in Europe. Designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2012, Elvas is notable for its vast defensive complex developed primarily during the 17th century. After Portugal regained independence from Spain in 1640, the town became a key stronghold in the Restoration War. Its fortification system followed the Dutch school of military design, characterized by angular bastions, thick ramparts, and outer defenses optimized to withstand artillery sieges. This defensive approach was led by Jesuit engineer Father João Cosmander, who played a central role in shaping Elvas into an exemplar of early modern military urbanism. Marked by rolling plains, whitewashed villages, and golden fields that stretch to distant horizons, one region in southern Portugal evokes a sense of timelessness, rooted in land, heritage, and silence. This is Alentejo, an expansive territory known for its agrarian identity, layered history, and deep cultural traditions. Covering roughly one-third of mainland Portugal, Alentejo stretches from the southern banks of the Tagus River to the northern edges of the Algarve. The terrain is dominated by cork oak forests, olive groves, and vineyards, shaping an economy and lifestyle tied to the soil. Portugal is the world's largest producer of cork, and Alentejo contributes the majority of that output. Wine production here has ancient roots dating back to Roman times, and today the region is internationally recognized for robust reds and increasingly refined whites. Marvão, located near the Spanish border in the Alentejo region, is a fortified medieval settlement known for its panoramic views, historical resilience, and remarkably preserved architecture. Situated in the Serra da Peneda Natural Park, Marvão stands at an elevation of over 860 meters above sea level. This elevated position provided both natural defense and strategic military value throughout its history. The village is often described as a nest of eagles due to its commanding location, which offers uninterrupted vistas over the Tagus Valley and the Spanish plains beyond. The village itself consists of narrow cobbled streets, whitewashed houses, and traditional granite detailing, all enclosed within fortifications. Despite its small size, Marvão reflects multiple architectural styles, from Islamic foundations to Gothic and Manueline influences in later Christian structures. From dramatic cliffs to serene valleys, from ancient monasteries to vibrant coastal towns, the journey through Portugal reveals a land shaped by centuries of history and the rhythms of the Atlantic. Each stop offers a different story carved in stone, sung in the wind, or tasted in a glass of vinho. Where should we explore next? Leave your suggestions in the comments below. See you on the next adventure.